The Green Knight is directed by David Lowery, and it stars Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander, and Ralph Ianson. I really hope I didn't slaughter their names. The Green Knight is an adaptation of the Arthurian tale Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Actually, when I watched this movie for the first time, I had no idea that this had anything to do with King Arthur or the Knights of the Round Table. Before I watched this movie, I had no idea who Sir Gawain was, and my knowledge on the Knights of the Round Table was at a kind of elementary level. So the only reason why I saw this movie was because it was an A24 movie, and I love A24 films. In a world oversaturated by sequels, A24 stands on its own, releasing great original content like Uncut Gems, The Lighthouse, and Moonlight. So I went into this film almost completely blind, and I loved it. This is my favorite movie of the year, or possibly the last 2 years, because of the pandemic. Over the pandemic, great films have been few and far between. I mean, the Snyder Cut was really good. I would even use the word great, but that wasn't released theatrically. So far during the pandemic, I haven't really seen a great film. I heard The Quiet Place 2 was really good, but I haven't seen it because I haven't really had time to watch that or the first one. But The Green Knight is definitely, without a doubt, a great film. Even though I have almost nothing but good things to say about this movie, I should probably preface that this film is not for everyone. This film is really slow-paced, and it takes its time with its characters and plot. If you go into this movie expecting it to be this action-packed adventure, you are going to be very disappointed. Though, if you go into this movie with the right expectations in mind, if you go in preparing to be taken to a different world and to really dive deep into these characters, I bet you will love this film just like I did. As I said earlier, this is a very slow-paced movie, and some people might even find it boring. Hell, even the first time I watched this movie, I found some parts kind of boring, and I had some pacing issues with it. But after I watched it for a second time, all those issues kind of ironed out for me. When I watched this movie for the second time, all the pacing issues kind of completely dissolved away, and I was taken away into this film's world. The thing that sucked me into this film was its cinematography. If this film isn't even nominated for Best Cinematography at the Oscars, I'm just going to be incredibly disappointed. That would be such a crime. This film lingers on a few shots for quite a while, and I believe that this film does this because, well, the filmmakers want these images to fully sink into your mind and to allow yourself just to gawk at these beautiful images and scenery. This film's color palette is oh so breathtaking. These colors just pop off the screen, and they allow you to just be completely immersed into this film's world. I might sound crazy, but this film is enhanced by the drive-in setting. This film's earthy tones really blends well with the drive-in setting. Dev Patel also completely sells it as Sir Gawain, a knight who is sent on a task to reunite with the Green Knight and do a favor for him. I'm not going to say what that said favor is, though the trailer does reveal what the favor is. I mean, it isn't that spoilery, if you know what I mean, but I believe the best way you can experience this movie is to go in completely blind of most of its plot details. Sir Gawain isn't exactly the most noble out of all knights. The very thing that is getting in the way of Gawain's nobility is his ego, And throughout this movie, you watch his ego and nobility get tested in very interesting ways. Honestly, I find it so interesting, diving into Sir Gawain's psyche. This film does that proficiently. You watch this man become a better and worse person at the same time. It's actually really interesting what this film does with his character. Dev Patel makes Sir Gawain endearing enough for you to care about him, despite of his plethora of character flaws, kind of like Adam Sandler's performance in Uncut Gems. The sound design used in the movements of the Green Knight is actually surprisingly satisfying. Every time the Green Knight makes the slightest movement, you hear branches and twigs crack and crumble. It is actually a very satisfying sound. And the fact that the filmmakers went the extra mile to make this character feel more like a living and moving plant, or tree, if you will. I don't know what the Green Knight is, but the fact that they went this extra mile just shows you the absolute dedication and just perfectionism that went into this film. The ending to this film will be very confusing to many viewers, but once you look into it and begin to dissect this film's ending, it just makes this film feel so much more ambitious and ballsy. There are multiple interpretations to this ending, but none of these endings are, well, the definitive version of this film's ending. And I love it when filmmakers leave everything to interpretation. It forces you to think about what you just saw. And that really doesn't happen much today, but when it does happen, I utterly cherish it. The ending to this film will frustrate a lot of people. Just ask the guy in my theater who wanted a full refund on his ticket because it was the worst movie he had ever seen. That guy clearly never watched Axum. This ending even confused me. But when I really sat down and thought about this movie and thought about its ending and discussed it with some friends of mine, I really grew to love this movie even more. I do have one extremely minor nitpicky issue with this film. There's a certain scene where one of the characters explains some of the themes to this film, and I feel that this scene goes on for way too long. By I don't know, a minute into this scene, I already got the idea, but it went on for a few extra minutes. And I feel like it would have been nice if we had figured out these themes for ourselves, rather than this character just explaining it to us. Though, if you feel uncomfortable going to the theaters, I would recommend buying this film on physical media to keep that medium alive. But if you really insist, this film will probably come out on streaming in the not-so-far future. Overall, The Green Knight is a film that really floored me, and I couldn't recommend this film enough, especially if you're an A24 fan. And because of that, The Green Knight gets an A. I could really see this film aging like a fine wine, and maybe one day that A will turn into an A+. I can't be more excited rewatching this film yet again on Blu-ray. And anyways, I hope you enjoyed my latest review of The Green Knight. And if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And shout out to Shopping Malls and Roger Waters. Thanks for watching.